Hi, grade 5 students. How are you doing? I hope that you're all doing good. Welcome to the science lecture video number 7, and this will be the last one for this semester. Today we'll continue talking about animals' food diet. What do animals feed on? So like all living things, animals need to feed in order to live. But what do animals eat? Do they all have the same kind of food? Let's see. Scientists classified living organisms into three different groups: producers, decomposers, and consumers. What's a producer? What's a decomposer? And what's a consumer? What are different examples of producers, decomposers, and consumers? Let's see. Let me start talking about producers. Green plants are called producers or autotrophs because they produce or make their own food. Producers absorb carbon dioxide from the air through their stomata. They use their roots to absorb water from the soil. And they use the chlorophyll found in their leaves to catch sunlight energy. Plants combine carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight energy to produce their food, which is a kind of sugar, and release oxygen into the atmosphere. This food-making process is called photosynthesis. Green plants are almost the only organisms on Earth that produce their own food. So, green plants are the only producers. What about decomposers? A very large number of living things live in the soil. They eat or they break down dead leaves, fallen branches, animal cadavers or dead bodies, and they decompose them. They transform those bodies into soil matter, minerals, which will be used later on by the plants. Some decomposers are earthworms, snails, bacteria, termites, fungi, and flies. Let's move now to talk about consumers. As I said in the beginning, like all living things, animals need to feed in order to live. Consumers are also called heterotroph since they must consume something else, something hetero as food. But do all consumers feed on the same kind of food? What do you think? No, they don't. 1. Type of consumer number 1. Some animals feed on animals only. These animals are called herbivores. So, the animal which eats plants is a herbivore. Herbivores are also classified into different classes: herbivore, herbivore frugivore, herbivore nectarivore, herbivore granivore, herbivore sapsucker. So it's according to the type or the part of the plant that the animal is consuming. So a herbivorous animal is an animal that feeds on plants only. But we have special types or classes of herbivores. A herbivore is a leaf-eater animal, such as the rhinoceros, the giraffe, donkeys, cows, goats. These animals feed on leaves of plants, so we call them herbivores. A frugivorous animal is an animal that feeds on fruits, such as some kinds of monkeys and fruit bats. A herbivore nectarivorous animal feeds on nectar, which is the sweet substance found in flowers. Butterflies, some kinds of birds, bees are nectarivorous animals. They feed on nectar. Granivorous animals feed on grains or seeds, like the squirrels. Squirrels eat grains, so we say that squirrels are herbivorous, granivorous animals. Sapsuckers are animals that feed on the plant sap. What's the plant sap? It's the sweet juice, the sugary or the sweet, again, sweet juice made by plants. Didn't we say that plants make a kind of sugar as food? So animals that feed on this sap are called sap suckers, such as woodpeckers. Woodpeckers are sap suckers animals. So what are the 5 classes of herbivorous animals? Again, these animals feed on plants only, but they feed on different parts of the plant. Herbivores feed on leaves. Frugivores, fruits. Nectarivores, nectar. Granivores, grains or seeds. Sapsuckers feed on sap, which is the sweet juice made by plants. 5 classes of herbivores: herbivores, frugivores, nectarivores, granivores, and sapsuckers. What about the second type of consumers? Some consumers consume animals only. So, we say that these animals are carnivores. So, the animal which eats animals is a carnivore. Carnivores are also classified into 5 classes: carnivore, carnivore insectivore, carnivore piscivore, carnivore scavenger, carnivore bloodsucker. So, carnivores, insectivores, piscivores, scavengers, bloodsuckers. What do carnivores feed on? They eat meat. They hunt and they feed on their prey. Lions are carnivores, since they hunt for food. Tigers also hunt for food. Cheetahs hunt for food. Snakes hunt for food. They hunt their prey and they feed on them, so we call them carnivores. A carnivore insectivorous animal feed on insects such as spiders, frogs, anteaters. So these animals are called insectivorous animals since they feed on insects. Piscivorous animals feed on fish mainly. So animals such as pelicans, whales feed on fish. They are classified and considered as piscivorous animals. Scavengers such as this hyena feed on cadavers. They feed on already dead animals. Animals killed by other animals or animals killed by illness, sickness. So they find dead animals and they eat them. This kind of animals is called scavengers. Bloodsuckers suck animals' blood. So bloodsuckers mean animals that drink the blood of others, such as leeches. This animal is called a leech and it feeds on blood. This kind of animal is considered as a blood sucker since it feeds on blood. So what are the 5 classes of carnivorous animals? Carnivore, carnivore, carnivore insectivore, carnivore piscivore, scavenger, and the blood sucker. The third group of consumers is the omnivorous animal. Omnivorous animals eat plants and animals. So omnivores feed on both animals and plants. Brown bears are omnivorous animals since they feed on both plants and animals. Foxes are also omnivorous animals. Let's retell what we learned today. Producers produce their own food through a food-making process called photosynthesis. Producers are also called phototrophs. Decomposers are nature cleaners. They clean the nature from dead bodies. They break down dead organisms into minerals. Consumers or heterotrophs feed on other organisms. They need to consume their food. According to the food they eat, consumers are classified into 3 groups: herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Herbivorous animals feed on plants only. Herbivores feed on leaves. Frugivores feed on fruits. Nectarivores feed on nectar. Granivores feed on grains. Sapsuckers feed on sap, on plant sap. Carnivorous animals feed on meat. They eat other animals. Carnivores feed on meat. They hunt for food. Insectivores feed on insects. Piscivores consume fish. Bloodsuckers suck blood for food. Scavengers are animals that feed on already dead animals, on cadavers. Omnivorous animals feed on both plants and animals. Let's have some fun. Can you guess the food diet of the animal shown in the figure? Is it a carnivorous, herbivorous, or omnivorous animal? What about the snake? Are snakes carnivores, herbivores, or omnivores? Snakes feed on frogs, eggs of animals, fish, slugs. So, snakes feed on other animals only. This means that snakes are carnivores. Excellent. What about us, people? What do we feed on? Do we eat plants only? Do we eat animals only? Or we feed on both plants and animals? So, we are organisms that eat plants and animals. We are omnivores. Cows. Cows are plant eaters. This means that cows are herbivores. That's right. What about lions? Lions are wild animals. They hunt for food. They feed on other animals' meat. So, lions are carnivores. That's right. Pigs. Pigs eat fruits. They consume flowers of plants. but they also eat some insects and fish sometimes. This means that pigs are plant and animal eaters. This makes them omnivorous animals. Correct. Rabbits. Rabbits consume vegetables. So rabbits are herbivores. Finish. Let me check the answers. How much did we get? Correct. All of our answers are correct. Here is another game. What do we call an animal that eats plants only? Is it a herbivore, carnivore, or omnivore? It's a herbivore. That's right. What about an animal that eats both plants and animals? Is he a herbivore, carnivore, or omnivore? Omnivores. Good job. Since omnivores are animals that feed on plants and animals together. Carnivorous animals are animals that feed on animals only. Okay, we have here different examples of animals and we have to put them in the correct column. Let me start with the shark. Do you think that a wild shark is a herbivorous animal, carnivorous animal, or omnivorous animal? Sharks feed on fish, so they are carnivores. Which one of the five remaining animals is also a carnivorous animal? It's the crocodile. That's right. Crocodiles also feed on animals only. What about giraffes? Giraffes are herbivores. They are leaf eaters. So they are herbivores. Sharks are piscivores, since they feed on fish. Crocodiles, okay, sharks piscivore. Crocodiles are carnivores, since they hunt their prey. Giraffes are herbivore. Squirrels are granivores. That's right. Chickens eat seeds, but they also consume earthworms as food. So, chickens are considered as omnivorous animals. Brown bears too. Brown bears consume fruits, but they also eat fish. Let's check all of the answers. Correct answers. We got a full mark. Thank you. We're done. If you still have any questions, please send me messages and I will be glad to answer all of your questions. Bye bye, dear ones.